Seniors, 5 reasons your legs are getting weaker after 60. Don't wait until it's too late. Have you ever felt your legs buckle for no reason? Like one day, climbing the stairs suddenly feels like scaling a mountain? What if I told you, this isn't just aging, it's your body sending an urgent warning. Every year, millions of people over 60 begin to notice their legs growing weaker, shakier, and less reliable. But what most don't realize is that this isn't a normal part of aging. It's a sign that something deeper is going wrong. Your muscles may be wasting away, your nerves may be misfiring, your circulation could be slowing, or your body might be running low on essential minerals it needs to function properly. And if you ignore it, the consequences can be far more than inconvenient. We're talking about falls, broken hips, hospital stays, and even the loss of your independence. In this video, we're going to uncover the 5 hidden reasons your legs may be getting weaker after 60. And more importantly, we'll show you how to stop it. Not through fear, but with science, action, and hope. Because staying strong isn't just about walking, it's about living with freedom, dignity, and confidence every single day. Have you noticed any changes in your leg strength recently? Let us know in the comments. We'd love to hear your story. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to give us a like, share this with someone who needs it, and hit subscribe to get more life-changing health tips for older adults. Stick with us. What you're about to learn could change the way you move, the way you age, and the way you live. Reasons 1. Sarcopenia, the silent loss of strength. Sarcopenia is not just a natural part of aging. It's a progressive and preventable decline in muscle mass and strength that quietly weakens the very foundation of our mobility, especially in the legs. While most people begin losing muscle gradually after their 30s, the process often accelerates significantly after age 60, and if left unchecked, can become deeply disabling by the time one reaches their 80s. It's important to understand that this isn't just about being less fit. Muscle loss affects the ability to rise from a chair, walk without fatigue, or climb stairs without fear of falling. More than that, it alters metabolism, increases insulin resistance, and raises the risk of chronic disease and frailty. The biology behind sarcopenia is complex but well documented. Aging muscles become less responsive to the normal triggers of growth, like protein intake and resistance movement. This is called anabolic resistance. At the same time, key hormones like testosterone, growth hormone, and IGF-1 decline. Neuromuscular junctions weaken, inflammation increases, and protein synthesis, the process of building muscle, slows dramatically. These changes result in shrinking muscle fibers, especially in the thighs and calves, which are critical for balance and walking. When combined with a sedentary lifestyle and inadequate nutrition, the decline becomes rapid and hard to reverse. What's particularly dangerous is that many older adults assume this weakness is inevitable. They don't realize that daily tasks like walking or gardening are not enough to maintain strength. True muscle preservation requires targeted resistance training, exercises that challenge the muscles with controlled load. Squats using a chair, leg raises, or resistance bands may sound simple, but they are powerful interventions when done consistently. Research shows even people in their 90s can regain muscle mass with regular training. Protein is equally vital. Unfortunately, many seniors eat too little of it, whether due to reduced appetite, dental issues, or misconceptions about kidney health. But the evidence is clear. Older adults need more protein than the young, not less. Ideally, 1.2 to 1.5 grams per kilogram of body weight each day, divided evenly across meals. Quality matters too. Lean meats, eggs, fish, dairy, legumes, and nuts provide the essential amino acids needed for muscle repair. Leucine, found in whey protein and certain meats, is especially critical. Nutrients like vitamin D, B12, and omega-3 fatty acids also play supportive roles by improving neuromuscular function, reducing inflammation and supporting mitochondrial health. Combined with good sleep, stress control, hydration, and consistent movement, these form a holistic approach to preserving strength with age. Sarcopenia is not just about muscle, it's about freedom. It's about whether you can continue to walk confidently through your home, carry your groceries, or get up from bed without help. For many seniors, leg weakness is the first step toward dependence. But it doesn't have to be. The science is clear and the tools are available. What's needed is awareness and action. Reasons 2. Poor circulation. When blood stops flowing to the legs. As we age, weakness in the legs isn't always just about muscles, it's often about blood flow. Poor circulation, particularly caused by peripheral artery disease, PAD, is a common yet underdiagnosed condition in seniors. PAD occurs when arteries that supply the legs become narrowed due to plaque buildup, reducing the delivery of oxygen and nutrients. This results in symptoms like aching calves, cold feet, numbness, or cramping during walks, often mistaken as normal aging. But this lack of blood flow can cause far more serious problems than discomfort. Chronic circulation issues impair healing, increase the risk of infection, and in severe cases lead to tissue death or amputation. Even more concerning, PAD is a red flag for broader cardiovascular disease. It significantly raises the risk of heart attack and stroke. Fortunately, improving circulation is possible. Walking remains one of the most effective treatments, even if it causes discomfort at first. Regular short walks can help the body form new vessels that bypass blockages. Staying hydrated, reducing salt intake, and eating antioxidant-rich foods like leafy greens, berries, and fatty fish all support vascular health. Avoiding smoking and managing blood pressure and cholesterol are also critical. The takeaway is simple. When blood flow to the legs is limited, strength fades. But with early action, movement, nutrition, and awareness, this process can be slowed or even reversed. Good circulation isn't just about healthy legs. It's about maintaining independence, mobility, and overall vitality as we age. Reasons 3. Nerve damage. Walking on pins and needles. Not all leg weakness comes from the muscles or blood vessels. Sometimes it's the nerves, the silent electrical network that tells our legs how to move and feel, that begin to fail. In older adults, a common cause of leg discomfort, tingling, burning, or numbness is peripheral neuropathy. Damage to the nerves outside the brain and spinal cord. It often begins gradually, starting with a slight numbness in the toes or a strange sensation when walking, like stepping on cotton or needles. This condition affects nearly 1 in 3 seniors and is especially common in those with diabetes, vitamin B12 deficiency, or a history of alcohol use. High blood sugar slowly erodes the protective coating around nerves, while low B12 impairs nerve signal transmission. Over time, as the nerves deteriorate, muscles lose proper communication with the brain. This not only causes weakness, but also poor coordination and balance, leading to a much higher risk of falls. The tragedy is that neuropathy often goes unnoticed until the damage is significant. Many seniors dismiss the signs as normal aging or ignore symptoms until walking becomes difficult. But early recognition matters. Managing blood sugar carefully, supplementing with B12-rich foods like eggs and leafy greens, and avoiding alcohol are key steps to protect nerve health. In some cases, gentle massages, warm foot baths, and physical therapy can help maintain mobility and reduce discomfort. When nerves begin to fail, the body's connection to movement and sensation is slowly severed. But with attention and care, that connection can be preserved. Protecting your nerves isn't just about easing symptoms, it's about staying steady on your feet, confident in your steps, and safe in your home. Reasons 4. Spinal problems, the hidden link behind leg weakness. When people think about leg weakness, they rarely consider the spine. Yet the lower back is a central command center for leg function, and damage there can cause weakness, numbness, or even sudden leg collapses. As we age, conditions like herniated discs, spinal stenosis, or simply years of poor posture can lead to compression of spinal nerves that control leg strength. One common example is sciatica, pain that starts in the lower back and shoots down the back of one leg. This happens when a disc presses on the sciatic nerve, interfering with the signals that allow the leg to move properly. Many people also report numbness in the feet or a feeling that one leg is weaker than the other. These are warning signs that something deeper, structural and neurological, is affecting mobility. Unlike muscle loss or poor circulation, spinal-related leg weakness isn't something you can fix with diet alone. It often requires gentle movement, targeted stretching, and avoiding long periods of sitting, which increase spinal pressure. Exercises like knee-to-chest stretches and seated spinal twists can help relieve pressure. Supportive chairs and lumbar cushions also protect the spine during daily life. Most importantly, recognizing back-related leg weakness early can prevent long-term nerve damage. When ignored, spinal compression can permanently affect strength and sensation. But with early intervention, physical therapy, and posture correction, many older adults can regain stability and prevent further decline. The spine might be hidden, but its impact is felt with every step. Keeping it healthy isn't just about avoiding pain, it's about protecting the body's foundation for movement and preserving the freedom to walk, stand tall, and stay active in later life. Reasons 5. Electrolyte imbalance, the invisible deficiency that weakens the legs. Sometimes leg weakness appears suddenly, without warning, without pain, but with a sense of instability or cramping that comes and goes. In these cases, the root cause may not be muscles, nerves, or bones at all, but rather something far more subtle, an imbalance of electrolytes, especially magnesium and potassium. These minerals play a critical role in how muscles contract and relax, and when they're out of balance, even simple movements can become shaky or painful. Older adults are particularly vulnerable to this kind of deficiency. Aging kidneys don't regulate minerals as efficiently, and common medications like diuretics for blood pressure can flush electrolytes from the body. Dehydration, poor appetite, or restricted diets further reduce intake. The result? Nighttime leg cramps, sudden twitching, fatigue, and even irregular heartbeats. Potassium helps muscles contract smoothly, while magnesium calms nerve activity and reduces spasms. When levels fall too low, muscles become irritable and prone to misfiring. This explains why some people wake up in the middle of the night with painful calf cramps or feel their legs give out unexpectedly during the day. Fortunately, the solution is often simple. Eating potassium-rich foods like bananas, oranges, spinach, and sweet potatoes can restore balance. For magnesium, almonds, beans, dark chocolate, and whole grains are excellent choices. Staying well hydrated is equally important, as even mild dehydration can worsen mineral loss. For those with frequent cramps, a warm Epsom salt bath before bed may help. Magnesium the salts can be absorbed through the skin, offering gentle relief. Though invisible, electrolyte imbalances are powerful. They can mimic serious conditions, disrupt mobility, and reduce confidence in walking. But once recognized, they're often easy to correct with small, consistent changes in diet and hydration. In the end, restoring balance isn't just about preventing cramps. It's about empowering the legs to move freely, steadily, and with renewed strength. Your legs carry more than just your body. They carry your freedom, your independence, your ability to keep living life on your terms. Weakness doesn't have to mean surrender. Not to age, not to fear, and certainly not to the belief that it's too late. Now you understand the hidden causes, the muscle loss you can fight, the circulation you can improve, the nerves you can protect, the spine you can support, and the nutrients you can restore. But understanding alone is not enough. Action is where strength begins again. Start small. A short walk, a stretch, one better meal, one daily habit. because every step you take, literally and figuratively, brings you closer to a stronger, more confident you. And remember, aging is inevitable, but decline is not. We want to hear your thoughts. What part of today's video resonated most with you? Drop your experience or questions in the comments below. And if this helped you, help someone else by sharing it. Hit like, click subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a chance to take your health into your own hands. Until next time, stay strong, stay steady, and keep moving forward.